I've been building a web application to manage my content. And in this video series, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and you're going to look at all the messy process of evolving applications, starting from scratch and growing it to be something meaningful. Eventually, it might even be a SaaS that content creators can use. Who knows where the end is going to be? But the purpose right now is to teach you the process of building an application, to document the process of the application for myself for personal use, just so it's documented, it's always there, and to motivate you to build stuff. You know, these days in 2025, the goal is not to just find a job, the goal is to build something, and hopefully this will motivate you. So it's going to be behind the scenes. I'm going to go through the whole process, maybe not in this video. In this video I'm going to talk about version 1, but going forward, as I'm building it, I'm going to keep documenting it and we'll see where it goes. You should be paying attention to the process, the technology stack, and the mindset, what to think about, how to think about it. Okay, I'm a QA automation or an SDET, software engineer in test. My career is focused on testing. But when you are an automation engineer, you know how code works, you know how applications are built. So I'm going to take my career a step, well, I wouldn't say a career, but just using my skills to build something that I need. So why am I creating this app, right? In this video, I'm going to talk about why I'm creating the app, why I'm creating the video, what are the tech stack that I'm using. I'm going to walk you through the application itself. I'm going to talk about how did I backfill the data that is from previous, right? So this app, I'm using it mainly for YouTube, to manage my YouTube content. So this is what the app looks like, right? So why am I creating this to start with? I've been thinking about this for a long time. So what I do is I manage my content. I have a sheet, a spreadsheet or Google Sheets that has basically a bunch of rows of YouTube videos. Now I'm on TikTok. I have TikTok videos. I upload on Facebook and LinkedIn, not as much, but I want to ramp that up. I want to do more and more of this posting. And I realized that using spreadsheet is not very scalable. It is a slow process. I need to create relationships, right? I create a long video, then I create a bunch of short videos related to that long video. I want to create that relationship. And when I was doing it in the spreadsheet, it's just not very user friendly. And for the longest time, I have been thinking about like, I need an app so I can just, document all my content there. I know there are paid apps like Notion or things like that creators use. I can definitely use that, but I didn't want to go through that learning curve. I do want to have fun building stuff because building stuff is a lot of fun for me. So I've been thinking about that. But what really make me, jump and just start doing it is I just launched a coaching offer, right? Where I coach people one-on-one, trying to get you to be a QA automation engineer or an SDET engineer. So now I need to go to my YouTube and update the descriptions on all my videos, right? So I thought about it. So far, I only have 200 videos, so it's not really a big deal to go and update 200 descriptions, just adding the new link. I also thought about, that's not too bad. I also thought about I can use the API, the YouTube API. But then when I started looking at the YouTube API, I realized my format of the description on every single video is not the same. It's pretty random. I have links and things like that. Pretty random. So to just go randomly update it, it's not going to be simple, plug and play, like replace a string. So it's going to be a little bit more involved and there's a risk of damaging the description. What if I upload like an empty description or things like that? So that is the one that I'm like, oh, I need to do this. Yeah, so I can do it manually, but right now it's 200. But what about next year? What if I have 1,000 videos and I need to go update those? I need to add a new link or I need to remove a link, right? That is just a really good use case where you need to go update YouTube videos. Because on YouTube videos, usually creators, right? They put links in there and those links can change and it's kind of tough to go and change everything. There are applications that do that, but it's not really there, right? It's complicated. So I figured, one, I create an application that allow me to do that. Two, I'll update my description so they follow strict format. So it's easy to update. If the descriptions have a very specific format where the links appear, what the text in front of the link is, and they're all the same, then I can use the API. I can use a YouTube API and a simple Python script to do that. So anyways, that is what my mind was. And that's really, I'm like, that's a big problem I really need to solve. So here we go. I created the app and I call it Social Media Manager. I'm probably going to name it something else later because my idea is to grow so I can manage all my content, not just YouTube. So that is the application. That's the purpose of the application. And the reason I want to document it, one, of course, is history, right? I want to create my process. Who knows what this app is going to end up being? And two, for you, my audience, you guys are going to learn how the process is. This is vibe coding. I'm using AI for like everything, right? I'm using cursor.io or cursor AI. I'm going to show you that. And it's vibe coding. I'm not a fan of that term, vibe coding, but that is technically what I'm doing vibe coding. So we're going to do that. So it's going to be a motivation for you. You're going to see the process. You're going to motivate you to create stuff. It's not just about finding a job. It's also about creating stuff these days. All right, so that is the reason. Now let's look at the app itself. So this is the UI, very simple UI. So you always want to start with something simple, an MVP, right? Minimum viable product. So this is my version of an MVP, and I'm using technology stack that I'm very comfortable with, right? I'm not trying to get fancy. I'll talk about that. So the app just works like this. Basically, I have title of the YouTube video, and I have the status and a description. So this description is what goes in the video. So when you look at this description, something fancy is the description has just the main text, no links at all. Then when I click on generate, see, this is broken right now. This is supposed to give me a formatted version of the description that has all the links that I want to add. That way, those links are coming from a table, from a database. And then whenever I want to change the links, I just go in the database and I change the link, and the description is automatically updated. So I'll go and upload to YouTube or use API. So we're going to see that in version 2 because version 2 works. And I'll explain why this broke. I 100% know why exactly this broke, because I have to go back to an older version, and all the database, everything is a little messed up just because I went back to an older version. And I will show you how I was able to do that. If I have a version 2, how am I able to run the application in the version 1 format? And I know exactly why this is broken, but if I was to click on this, whatever the button was right there, the generate, it should have generated a well formatted description. So I have the description here, the YouTube ID, some hashtags. So this hashtags right there, they just comma separated. When I click on this generate, it would convert this comma separated into an actual hashtag with a pound sign, with a hash sign, and adds it to the description. The application is doing that. Again, we're going to see all of that working. It's working really well in version 2. This was working, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to go beyond YouTube, right? What if I have YouTube Shorts? What if I have TikTok? What if I want to do Facebook and IG and all of that? So the application evolved, right? So version 2, you will see the application has evolved. So this is really the whole point. So let's say we want to add a new one. I'm going to make this smaller, or I can just refresh. Everything looks clean. I'm going to click on add new video. I'm just going to say demo on live recording. That's going to be the title of the video. The status, I'm going to have to select. Let's say this is just a planned, or I'm currently recording. Publish date is not there yet. The description, I can say blah 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 blah, and all of that I'm going to fill in later, right? For example, the YouTube video ID, I have to upload the video first, then I get the ID, and I can come back and update this. Hashtags, I can say A, B, and C. And I'm just going to say save all the external links and things like that, right? All the data that the application with the content is going to have. So I'm going to modify all this, and I'm going to make it customizable, especially if I'm going to make it public. If I'm going to make it a SaaS, a lot of this I want to make it customizable. So I hit save, and voila, we have it here. So if I refresh this, we have it here. So before I go show you the backend, what is the technology stack I'm using for this app? For the backend, I'm using FastAPI, which is a Python framework for API. So you can build APIs with Python using FastAPI. For the front end, I'm using Flask. Flask is a micro framework for Python. Again, I'm a Python guy. I wanted to use Python for most of the stuff. I was contemplating doing React for the front end, but I'm not the most comfortable with React yet. So I feel like the MVP should just definitely be Flask. And later on, if I do want to make it a SaaS application, I can decide that. I can convert everything to React app, or I can make it public, see if people like it, see if I have customers, right? See if I have users. I don't know if it's going to be paid or free. So then after that, you can always migrate to a different tech stack. Okay. So right now it's all Flask because I'm really comfortable with Python. So I want to use Flask. So FastAPI for the backend, Flask for the front end. Well, front end Flask, that's a weird terminology right there. Flask itself is just a framework. And then for the database, MySQL. I like to use MySQL. So when we look at the APIs, the backend, first let me show you how I have the code structures. Here I am using Cursor AI, because vibe coding, all I do is I come here in the chat and I just tell it what I want, and it will just write the code. I have not written a single line of code. I do review the code, not every single line. I don't review every single line, of course. That would defeat the whole purpose. But I review stuff because especially when Cursor gets stuck, you will see while I start creating like live, when I'm actually building it, I'm going to record it going forward. You will see Cursor makes a lot of mistakes, and I actually have to help it out. Sometimes I have to go look at the code. That's why I like Python, because I can understand it and I can help it. So anyways, the way I did it is I wanted to keep both the front end and the back end in the same project, in the same repository, instead of keeping them managing two different repositories, even though it would not have been a big deal. But I wanted to keep it in the same repository, but two different applications, not the same application, like microservice. I want to do like a microservice. So I just created a backend folder and a front end folder. Now later on, I can just take those and put them into their own repositories. Simple. right? So in the backend folder, I have all the FastAPI stuff. When we look at the requirements.txt, you will see that FastAPI one of the first thing, and we have the web server and a bunch of things, right? And I'm using py MySQL. In fact, this SQL Alchemy, I don't need that. Py MySQL for the library to connect to MySQL database, since I'm using MySQL. I really like MySQL. I'm using Google's API to get data from YouTube itself. After I published the app, after I built the app, I needed to get my current videos, right? When we look at the app here, I have my current videos, my old videos. I needed to load them into my database. So I wrote a Python script using the YouTube API to get everything from the YouTube API and load it. I even got transcripts that YouTube transcribed, and I used AI, a local version of AI, to generate the descriptions that are even modified, right? That are even better. So I upgraded all the descriptions for all my 200 videos so far. Going forward, of course, everything is going to be like AI generated in terms of the descriptions and things like that. All right, so that's the back end, and the front end is basically the same thing. I have another folder for the front end. If we look at requirements, Flask is one of the simplest one. So it's a Flask based application. All right. So, and then the MySQL. For MySQL, I just have MAMP running. I love MAMP because it has a web server, a database, and everything I need, right? You have MySQL 8. So I'm using MySQL 8. I'm using Workbench for manually verifying stuff. This is the database. This is the table. If I was to run this query, there is a videos table. And the record we just added, demo on live, you can see it here in the database. FastAPI, the sweet thing about FastAPI is it would automatically give you a documentation. You just go to the server/docs, you get documentation for the API. If you want to get a list of videos, you can actually try the API here. For example, I can just expand this. I can say try it out, and I can just say execute. This is going to be a get call. It's going to make a get call. It actually shows you the response. You got a 200. So you can see the actual, you can test the actual API here. And I did not build this myself. The framework FastAPI gives you that. It is so awesome. I really love this. I'm not an expert in FastAPI. I recently started using it. In fact, this is like the second project I'm using it in. This is like a much bigger project compared to what I did before. So I'm learning this API itself, this framework itself. So it gives you this docs where you can just try out the APIs. And what I also done is it will give you like, you can download this JSON, this open API JSON, which is like a standard for documenting APIs. So I can download this JSON file here and I can upload it to Postman. So I have all my APIs in Postman. Okay, I've done that also. There's no need to show you that in this particular video. So this video is getting a little long. I think we have enough summary of what version 1 looks like and what the application does. So the point is, let's say I have an idea. I'll come here, I'll create an entry saying planned. Also, those are I'm going to change. Maybe I'll have ideas, just something like a rough idea. Maybe there's a whole different UI just for ideas. But the idea is you bring it here, you select a status, and now it's in the database. Once after you record it, you finish, you publish it. I can come here and I can change it to published. I can add descriptions, tags, and all of that good stuff. Okay, but this is just version 1. You'll see in version 2, it is totally changed. The way I was able to show you version 1 is, guys, once I finished it, I actually created a release branch and I also created a tag. So this is in Git, right? I have this in GitHub. So I created a tag. If I go to tags, the YouTube only, the V1. So now locally I checked out this code. So this code is the old version. But what happened was the database also changed and I did not keep track of the old version of the database, right? I kept track of just one of the tables, which is the videos table. I had the old videos table. So now to run this app in the older version, I just created a brand new database and I created a brand new table. So the application itself was running, but it's missing some tables that I did not keep track of. That's why some of the functionalities are failing. So I basically took a snapshot of the code at version 1 and stored it as a tag. Now, whenever I want to go to that version of that application, I just check out that code and I have that version of the app. So I'm able to show it to you right now, even though there are some bugs. So we'll look at version 2 in the next video. Right after this one, I'm just going to, check out the new branch, the new code, make sure everything is working, and I'll start to make a video. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow along this path, and we'll see where this application ends up. And if you are a content creator, if you do create content and using the app seems interesting to you, put a comment or send me a message so I can put you like in some kind of wait list, or we can talk about it. I'll find a way for you to use it. I'm definitely going to put it on a server somewhere, even for myself. So if you like it, let me know. I'd love to get comments. Please give it a like so YouTube knows this is good stuff and recommend it for others. And watch the playlist. By the time you watch this, I probably published the other video, so I'll put it in a playlist. Look at the end cards, look at the little link on top, and the playlist. Most importantly though, the description will have all the information that you need. So make sure you subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.